Former President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky: negotiate with Russia or face the potential loss of your country. Trump, who has repeatedly boasted about his ability to broker peace deals, urged Zelensky to act quickly in seeking a resolution to the ongoing conflict. He argued that the current situation, marked by continued fighting and heavy casualties, is unsustainable for Ukraine in the long run. Trump's comments, made during a recent interview, have sparked controversy and drawn criticism from both sides of the political aisle. Critics argue that his remarks undermine the Ukrainian government's efforts to resist Russian aggression and embolden Russian President Vladimir Putin. They point to Trump's history of making favorable statements about Putin and his past reluctance to criticize Russia's actions in Ukraine as evidence of his pro-Russian stance. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump also launched a personal attack on Zelensky, labeling him a dictator and accusing him of misusing American aid. This accusation, which echoes Russian propaganda narratives, further strained relations between the two leaders. Trump's comments also raised eyebrows given that Zelensky was democratically elected in 2019, albeit with Ukraine's scheduled 2024 elections postponed due to the war. Trump's warning to Zelensky comes amid heightened tensions between the United States and Russia, with both countries engaged in a high-stakes geopolitical chess match over Ukraine's fate. Negotiated settlement. The controversy surrounding Trump's remarks has once again thrust the issue of U.S. support for Ukraine into the spotlight. While the Biden administration has reaffirmed its commitment to providing military and humanitarian aid to Kyiv, the former president's comments have exposed the fragility of the bipartisan consensus on Ukraine policy.
The ongoing war in Ukraine is not just about territorial integrity, it is also a struggle for resources and influence. Ukraine, known for its fertile black soil and vast mineral deposits, including crucial rare earth minerals, has become a focal point in the geopolitical rivalry between the US and Russia. The US has long sought to limit Russia's access to these strategic resources, seeing Moscow's control over them as a threat to its own economic and national security interests.
Adding to the complexity, the US and Ukraine recently failed to reach an agreement on granting the US access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. The proposed deal, which would have given American companies preferential access to these valuable resources, was met with resistance from Kyiv. Ukrainian officials argued that the agreement was too heavily weighted in favor of US interests and did not provide sufficient security guarantees for Ukraine. The failure to secure a deal on rare earth minerals underscores the challenges facing the US in its efforts to counter Russian influence in Ukraine. Moscow has long used its control over energy resources as leverage over its neighbors, and the US is wary of Russia employing similar tactics with rare earth minerals. These minerals are essential components in a wide range of high-tech products, including smartphones, electric vehicles, and military equipment, making them strategically important. The US has provided substantial financial assistance to Ukraine since the Russian invasion in February 2022, totaling approximately $183 billion. This aid, which includes military equipment, humanitarian supplies, and budget support, reflects the US's commitment to helping Ukraine defend itself against Russian aggression. However, the ongoing debate over the level and scope of US support for Ukraine highlights the difficult balancing act Washington faces in providing assistance without getting drawn into a wider conflict with Russia. Retired U.S. Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, who served as Trump's special envoy to Ukraine and Russia, recently met with Ukrainian officials in Kyiv in an attempt to ease tensions and reiterate the U.S.'s commitment to finding a peaceful solution. Kellogg emphasized Trump's understanding of the human suffering caused by the war and his desire to see it end. However, the details of the meeting and any potential breakthroughs remain unclear. The path to peace in Ukraine remains fraught with obstacles. The entrenched positions of both sides, the deep mistrust between Russia and the West, and the ongoing fighting on the ground make a negotiated settlement difficult to achieve. The recent controversy surrounding Trump's comments has further complicated the situation, highlighting the challenges facing the international community in its efforts to broker a lasting peace. The war in Ukraine is a tragedy for all involved, with no easy solutions in sight. The international community must continue to pursue diplomatic channels while providing Ukraine with the support it needs to defend itself. Ultimately, a sustainable peace can only be achieved through dialogue, compromise, and a shared commitment to upholding international law and respecting Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Amidst the war of words and escalating tensions, diplomatic efforts to find a peaceful resolution to the conflict continue, albeit with limited progress. The US and Russia recently held talks in Saudi Arabia excluding Ukraine to discuss potential pathways to peace. The exclusion of Ukrainian officials from these negotiations has raised concerns in Kyiv, with some viewing it as a sign that the US and Russia are trying to reach a settlement over Ukraine's head.